Hey good people, welcome back to Beauty and the Frizz. My name is Kara. Whether you're new or returning, thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with me for another day of FRIZZMAS. Today I am going to be talking about the idea that it is okay to love the makeup that you have and embrace your collection. So if that sounds good, keep watching this video. Let me know what you think. And if makeup is your therapy and your love, if it makes you happy and you want to hang out with those who feel the same way, definitely consider joining the community. I'd love to have you back. All right, let's get started. So how are you? It's cold. That's how I am, but I have had a great day. I got out of work early today and I wanted to film this video because it's something that has been on my mind. As you all know, I have been struggling with the overconsumption of beauty products and it is out of hand here. I am clearly able to see it. And I want to just try to find some ways to work myself through this time. So let me know how you're doing in the comment section or the chat, whichever you prefer.
Chat, comment.
Not with those weights. And let's get this party started. I just got some 8-pound weights and now August is already taking them. I showed some B-roll in another video of my makeup collection and I will link that video. My makeup collection is totally out of control. And I'm not happy about it. I think that if I was okay with the size of my collection and was just loving it and it was making me feel excited, it would be a whole different story. I don't think it is a bad thing to have a large makeup collection. I don't think it's good for me because of how I am feeling. So I want to make some changes going forward. I've done a couple of videos. I did one on makeup burnout and my sister and I did one about questions to ask yourself before you add anything new to your collection. And this is going right on with that series of videos, just thinking about being okay with what you have and really thinking carefully and more mindfully about adding more to your collection because it's easy to get caught up, and that's the situation that I'm in. I started buying makeup, a lot of ColourPop, before I had my YouTube channel, and it was really right before I started. I was just starting to collect. ColourPop was coming out with makeup collections every single week and the makeup was so affordable. I was just collecting things, and then that was my gateway brand. Then I started looking at other brands spending more and more and more money, started my channel, was trying to keep up with the Joneses, and now I'm in this place that is between content creator and consumer, just regular beauty lover and consumer, and I'm having a hard time finding my way in that space. Because in order for your channel to grow, oftentimes you need the latest, the greatest, the newest, the viral. I was trying to get those things every time. And some of the things I didn't even question whether or not I truly liked them or really wanted them. But I just had to have them because they were new and I felt like I wanted them, but I wasn't really giving my purchases the consideration that it deserved. So here I am with this larger than life collection and I'm finding myself just wearing a handful of products, and it's led to a lot of feelings of anxiety and guilt. I really want to tackle some of those feelings by loving what I have and being okay with it. I want to celebrate my collection. It's hard to do that because of how it looks right now. It looks a mess. It is unorganized. It looks shabby. My brushes still are not clean from when I said I was going to clean them the other day. I used to have my palettes organized by brand. They no longer are, and I have totally run out of space. It doesn't look like a makeup collection that I value or that I treasure, but I really do love my makeup. Not everything, and I'll get to that part later, but I love a lot of it. It enhances my natural beauty. It's fun to apply. It's fun to create different looks. It's therapeutic. I like all of the thought and process behind so many of the products. And that's what's so fun about makeup. In order to celebrate my collection and embrace my collection, there's some things I have to do. And if you are in the same boat as me where you have a large collection, or if you don't don't have a large collection and you're feeling pressure to buy new things, to keep up with trends, I want to give you some ideas that will help you to embrace your collection and start loving it again, and will help you to be okay with the makeup that you have and not worry so much about buying what's new. First, I want to reject the pressure of constantly buying new makeup. When I do my new makeup releases video, I was very conscious of it last week. I try to think whether or not making a purchase will add something to my collection. Just by asking that question, I often realize that the launch is not adding anything to what I already have. There's no new technology or formula that's going to just be this it thing for me most of the time. That approach last week was really helpful for me, and some of you gave me some feedback that you like that approach, and I do want to continue on with that. There is so much pressure in this beauty community to buy new products. We see an influx of content creators doing weekly makeup hauls. We all know when indie palettes launch, there's an influx of videos on the palette before you buy it to see if you want it. And it almost makes you, well, it can make you feel one of two ways. At first, it made me feel like, oh, I've got to have that. Like all of these people have it, that I love their looks. Now it's making me feel the other way. I'm over it because I'm like, they all have it. And by me being a content creator, I'm like, well, by the time I get it, everyone's already seen it anyway. So I am questioning, did I want the palette for a video or did I want it for myself? There's nothing wrong with sticking to beauty products that work for you. Skincare, eyeshadow palettes, blush, bronzer, all of that stuff. There is nothing wrong with that. But I feel like we're made to feel like what we have isn't good enough when something new comes out. The second thing I want to do is practice more mindful makeup buying. There's this feeling of, there's a term for it and I can't think of it, but it's choice overload is the best way I can describe it. Sometimes having too many choices is overwhelming for me. I have so many choices of blush, of bronzer, of eyeshadows, of lip liners. Something's just not going to get used. There's an overwhelming number of options that I have in my collection of every single product. For me, it's about thinking of the quality over the quantity and thinking about what it is that I'm normally using. The makeup that I use on a daily basis, I have like in a little travel bag. That is the makeup I'm using all the time. Out of all of these many choices that I have, I'm not thinking in the morning, let me rotate all of my makeup products and do this for the week. I do need to be more conscientious about doing that if I want to get the maximum amount of use out of my collection. But oftentimes I'm not thinking about it and I don't really care. When it comes down to my base, I know what finish I like. I know the concealer I like. I don't feel the need to try all these different ones, but I have done that because I do have 5 or 6 concealers and there's just no reason for me to have it because I have my holy grails. And there's like 2 or 3 that I really like. I think everything else could really go. The next thing that I think will help me to embrace my collection is maximizing the use of my products. For example, taking, where is it? Oh, it's not near me. There's a Gucci highlighter that I bought recently. It's the deepest shade. And I was like, wow, I don't know if I could even really use it as a highlighter, but I could probably use it as a bronzer topper. I could also use it as an eyeshadow. So I'm thinking, how else can I use this product outside of the way it was initially intended to be used? Doing that helps you to be more creative, helps you to find new uses of things, and really lets you know whether or not the product is working for you. All of these things, I think, help you to know your collection a lot better. The next thing that I think will help me embrace my collection and love it more is thinking about the sentimental value and the nostalgia of when those products came out or what it reminds you of. One of my most nostalgic products, I think, would have to be the Pat McGrath Mothership Divine Rose 2. I'm not sure which Mothership that is. That was the beginning, not the first, but it was at the beginning of the pink trend. That launch was the first live launch that I participated in of Pat McGrath, and that palette sold out. I was really excited to get that palette, and like I got it before it sold out. I think about how that was at the very beginning of my YouTube journey. So even though it's not my favorite mothership palette, using it always brings special feelings. Thinking about it brings special feelings. Thinking about the products in your collection when they came out, it's almost how I feel about music. I can look at a palette and be like, oh, I remember when this came out, or the story behind it, or the hype behind it. That makes me happy. It makes me cherish that palette. And if I do that for the other special items in my collection, I will cherish them too. It's gotten a little bit out of hand because I'm buying things all the time, so the purchases have become less special. And so the mindful makeup, the rejection of always buying, I think will make these future purchases a lot more meaningful because they took more thought and will have more meaning. And I also think it's amazing that makeup can hold an emotional value. Think about if you wore a certain look and something wonderful happened that night or something terrible happened that night, you're gonna associate, you know, how you look, what you wore, you're gonna associate the song that you heard with that event. And makeup is no different. I've talked about this next one before, but changing the content that you consume is huge. That has honestly been one of the biggest changes that I've made. I was saying previously that now when I want to look up some things about makeup, I actually have to type it in and find the creators, because that's not what's coming up on my timeline anymore. I have things coming up about glowing up, winter arc, fitness, things like that are coming up on my timeline, and not so much the makeup stuff. I'm not constantly getting hit with all the new stuff, all the hauls. I spent $1,000, all of this consumption content, and that really makes me happy. Being a content creator, I do sometimes feel the need to compete, but this really isn't my lane. But I found myself wanting to be in that lane with no money. So I have to change that and think about how continuing on in the beauty space is gonna work for me without getting every new release. So growth may be slow. And honestly, since I haven't been doing a lot of new releases, my growth has been really, really minimal. I was thinking by the end of this year, I had this goal to have 8,000 subscribers, and that was just in my head. And it's not all about subscribers, but if you're on YouTube, you want your channel to grow. So that's just a natural goal for me. I just hit 5,700. It has been like one up, one down, one up, one down every single day. So I know the types of things that people in my circle are looking for. Not everybody, not many of you who are in the chats and are on here all the time, but the majority of people are using YouTube as a search engine. They're using YouTube to find how something works for them. They're looking for reviews to see if they want to purchase something. And if I'm not doing that all of the time, it's just gonna be up and down. The video that performs the best for me is the one where I talk about all the new makeup releases every week. That easily is 1,000 views every week. So you can just look at analytics and see what people are liking and what people are really not into. And that's just something for me to take into account. I still love beauty, but I know I can't keep up with every single release the way some other content creators do. There are content creators that do this full time, so I'm not knocking anybody. I just am really coming into... No, basketball.
Basketball?
Yeah, you'll be back at karate next week. Okay? Gotta let your mouth heal. Okay, thank you. Okay. Change up your timeline. Find those content creators that are like-minded with you. And maybe if you are looking for a review of a certain product, you look for that product versus having an influx of everyone with that product just showing up. My prime example of that are the Nomad palettes. A lot of the indie palettes, when we get them in PR, many content creators have their videos locked and loaded, and it's literally, as soon as the reveal comes up on Instagram, it's like bam, 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 and I'm getting 5 videos in a row. That's not happening to me anymore. So when I do want to see what a Nomad palette looks like, I'm going to type it in and find a review. I'm not just getting it forced on me and feeling like, oh my gosh, I just really want to have it. And, you know, we're adults, but we still feel, well, I'll speak for myself, I still feel that pressure sometimes, like, oh, they got this, I want to get this too. Whether they got it for free or not, I still feel that same pressure. It's getting a lot easier to not succumb to that. But at the beginning of my YouTube journey, yes, all the time. I was buying makeup literally all the time. Well, I still feel like I am kind of buying makeup all the time, but it was different. I was just buying everything. And I know that that is no longer for me. And this next one is like twofold. So thinking about the environmental impact and the mental impact that having so much and consuming so much is bringing in and impacting you. First of all, we have waste, right? I have so much packaging in here. It is just a lot. You can recycle some of the packaging, but it really doesn't matter because I'm not really finishing anything when it comes to eyeshadow palettes. I do have some refillable skincare products like the Prada foundation. I just brought a refill. So if you do care about the environment, think about whether or not this habit of consuming so much is eco-friendly. I do care about the environment very much. My main concern though is the mental impact that having so much makeup is having on me. It is giving me anxiety. It's giving me feelings of regret and guilt because I bought so much, and I stopped keeping up with my eyeshadow spreadsheet. That spreadsheet doesn't really even matter. There is so much on that spreadsheet. There are so many palettes from so many different brands. Even looking at the spreadsheet is overwhelming. It is hard to keep track of. It is just long. So I stopped with it because whether I'm looking at the physical clutter of the eyeshadow palettes, and I'm talking about eyeshadow palettes mainly because that's what I have the most of, but we can talk about lipsticks, I can talk about blush, I can talk about bronzer. Even if I'm not physically seeing it, if it was all in the spreadsheet and my spreadsheet had like the different tabs with the different products, that's overwhelming as well. The mental impact of all of this is really a lot. When I'm talking about it, it sounds a little silly. I'm like, this is just colored powders and liquids that we put on our face. Why am I having anxiety and guilt for not using things? I'm also having guilt about getting rid of things or throwing something in the trash. So many times I felt like, do I even want to make the effort of selling what I'm not using and donating and packing it up, or should I just trash it and don't go back? I don't want to do that because I can't imagine doing that. It's like me watching myself throw literal money in the trash, even though some of these products may be 3 and 4 years old. I'm like, Carrie, you got to let it go. The money has been spent. But I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do. I would love to get my collection down to about half the size that it is, which means I would really have to make some very tough decisions. The mental impact that this is having on me is the most important. That also leads into the content that I want to create. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I didn't do a video with this palette. Oh, they sent me this. I need to do this. But that's not what I really want to do. I'm not into the looks that I can make with this palette right now. That's how I feel. And I'm sure other content creators feel the same way. Because my time is so limited, I really don't want to sit down and do a video that I don't want to do. Because this started out as an outlet for me to just be Kara again, not a mom or a teacher or all these other roles that I have. It was me finding my style, finding the makeup that looks good on me, exploring different things. And I'm just in a different space. I'm done exploring for right now. I am settled with the looks that I'm doing, and I'm okay with it. Now, will I explore a palette here and there, do some different looks that I might not usually do? Is that okay? Yes, it is okay. But right now with the limited time, if I'm sitting down, I want it to be something that I feel is valuable to me and you. That is really important to me. This one's not really as hard for me anymore. It's rejecting all of the viral trends. It's kind of been set up that things that are old are just obsolete and no one cares about them anymore. That's just the way that things have become. And we see brands shoving new things at us all the time, or repackaged things, reformulated things. I'm not even sure how different all of the products really are, but it's packaged and marketed as new. And we feel like what we have is no longer good enough. Now, you might not feel like that, but I know I have felt like that. And then sometimes, like right now, I'm wearing the Denona Myricks Yummy Skin Foundation. I'm like, this might be one of the best foundations you've ever tried. I'm looking at the finish. I'm looking at how it's worn for the past couple of days. Those are the things that I need to be doing to get to know the makeup in my collection instead of rotating something new every day. I don't know how well you learn something when you're always changing it. Your makeup routine is about what makes you feel good. It's not about what's new. It's what makes you feel good. It's about what makes you feel confident. And the way that I am buying makeup right now, I started to question, like, what do I even like? What's different about this foundation than the other? And I wouldn't be able to tell you. I can, for the most part, tell you about different eyeshadow brands because I have spent so much time with eyeshadow palettes. But other things, it's like, that's a shimmery blush, that's a shimmery blush, that's a matte lipstick, that's a matte lipstick. Either it's dry or it's not dry. If it's not dry, it's good. If it's dry, it's not good. Like, I don't have all the minute differences. And I honestly don't care as long as my lips are not dry. Same thing with the eyeshadows. There are certain eyeshadow formulas that I really like. I love Natasha Denona's cream to powder eyeshadows. I like fiery duochromes, gray-based duochromes. But there's not all of these differences in the powder shadows. I just don't want it to get powder all over my face and be patchy. Those are the only two things that I don't want to have. So trying a new palette for formula and all that kind of stuff, that's not gonna work for me. If I like the color story, yeah, maybe that's the case. So I'm also trying to compare new releases to palettes that I have in my collection because there's only so many color stories that can come out. Just think, we're just combining colors in different ways. We're not creating new colors, you know. The big thing not that long ago were the hollow shades. I had gotten hollow shades about a year or so ago from the Glam Shop. Now everyone has hollow shades with these rainbow flecks. They're not really unique anymore. So if you have tried one hollow shade, I'm not sure what makes them all different from each other. So all of this viral makeup, I just want to be cautious about falling into the viral makeup trend and feeling like the older makeup that I have is not worth it. So I just want to reject the idea that the older stuff I have isn't worthy of being loved the same. One of the things I'm not sure if I mentioned at the beginning of the video is how I store my collection. I want to store my collection like it is a treasure. I want to keep my brushes clean and my palettes clean. I was looking at my Dior bronzer because I had showed it on camera, I think yesterday, and I was like, this is dirty, which shows that it's well loved. But what if I took the time to maybe try to clean it and get some of the stains out, or maybe even display it, you know, since I wear it all the time, on my dresser where it looks nice. Dusting off my palettes, really putting care and effort into how they are displayed and look. I think that would also give me a little more attachment to the collection that I have because I'm actually spending time and taking care of it. And right now, because I have so much, it's hard to take care of. It's like having a big house and all these rooms and you can't keep up and take care of everything. That's where I'm at right now, and I'm honestly over it. And there's one more. The final thing, y'all, is declutter. Declutter what you need to, donate it, sell it, gift it, trash it, whatever you need to do to clear your space, do it. It is tough. And a lot of times when I declutter, I swatch things. And when I swatch things, I'm like, oh, I can't get rid of this. So maybe I don't need to swatch anything when I declutter it. Cluttering is really tough for me. I did a declutter video of Odin's eye palettes and I got rid of, I'm gonna get rid of about half of them, but it was really tough. So I don't know. I want to go brand by brand to see, will this help me get my collection down? But when I swatch things, it's like it's over with the eyeshadow palettes. So I do need some decluttering tips. Maybe that's something I can try to research next time, like questions to ask for declutter. That might be something to start researching. Yeah, maybe that's what I'll do, because that'll be helpful for me. I'm looking for some benefits from embracing my collection. And the first one is that I think this is going to be a confidence booster for me, because the makeup that I have in my collection, one, I will be treating it special. I'll be treating it with value, and I'm going to have a better idea as to how the product works and what's different between one product versus the other. I will really get to know that product. When it comes to skincare, things like that, it takes time to really evaluate a product, and I don't give it much time at all. It's like, oh, when I'm done, it's like, oh, I will get it again, or maybe there's something that really didn't work. But for the most part, I feel like all of the makeup I buy is at least good. So you could repurchase any of it. I mean, here and there I'll find something where I'm like, definitely not. But in 2024, 2025, almost everything's going to be good. So we have to become even pickier about what does it mean to like something? What does it mean to want to repurchase something? How is this working for you over time? Many of the skincare claims, they only work if you use the product over time. I am looking forward to really getting to know and understand the products in my collection. I want to understand how they can be used in multiple ways and what are the long-term benefits of using the product. So much of the makeup now has skincare. So I really want to see this out and see like where is my money going? The second thing I plan to get out of this is the physical and mental clutter. I would like to have a space for everything, and maybe there are some eyeshadow palettes I'm going to archive. I talked about the Norns palette from Odin's Eye. I'm not going to use that palette anymore, but that one holds something special to me. I'm not going to keep every single Odin's Eye palette, but that one was the first one and it was special. So maybe I'll have it with some nostalgic items that I pack away and, put in the basement, something like that. But I want everything to have its place. That's going to be very important to me, because right now some things have a place, some things are laying around, and you all know I lose a lot of makeup. This is why, because everything doesn't have a place, or the place that's allotted for that product, there's too much of that product there, which lets me know my makeup collection has outgrown my space, and I'm not moving to a different space to house the makeup. The makeup needs to be reduced to fit into the space that I have. So I'm looking forward to having less physical clutter, less mental clutter, less makeup guilt for not using, like right now, not using colorful palettes. Colorful palettes, I might come around and using them again, so I'm not getting rid of my colorful palettes. I do like the colorful eyeshadow palettes that have some neutral options in there, because then I have the choice. But I have too many choices, and that's what I was saying at the beginning. I want to know where everything is. So when I say I want my Dior lipstick in the denim case, which I did find, I want to be able to just grab it. I don't want to be like, oh, is it in this lipstick drawer or this lipstick drawer? I don't want it to be that hard. It should be easy. This is a hobby, and this isn't the only hobby that can get out of control. So this could go with any hobby that you have, but it's important for me to know where everything is and for things to be organized. That is how I function. That is how my brain best works. Even though organization is not my forte, I am working really hard to get there. So I hope that these tips and thoughts resonate with you in some way, and that if you have anything that you want to share with our beauty community, that you put them in the comment section below, because you all are such a wealth of information for me all the time. I always welcome if you have feedback, if you have critiques, if you have more information that can help someone else. I'll really appreciate it if you put that in the comment section. And I'm also just thinking of like, what will my channel look like going forward? And if you have any ideas on that, I would love that as well. Because I have been stumped with content. I don't always feel like sitting down and saying, oh, let me talk about this new product. When I did my Sephora savings event shopping, most content creators come back with a haul. This is what I use. This is what I got. I didn't even want to do that. I didn't even feel good about it. I was like, you really indulged. I don't need a reminder for myself of all the things that I got. I'm just starting to use that makeup in these recent videos. So I do still want to do makeup, but I'm just trying to figure out what is it that I want to do. I have things to say, but it's not always involving things that are new. So at this crossroads here, but thought that this topic was important to share because we keep getting hit with sales and maybe things aren't being consumed as much because Cyber Monday happened and then you get up and it's like, oh, extend it for one more day. So, they're really trying to draw us in, not just in the makeup industry, it's every industry, to just consume and have more and more and more. And I think I've hit my limit. It doesn't mean that I'm going to be on a no buy, but it definitely means I'm going to be on some type of slow buy because this is not where it's at for me. And yeah, it's just not. It's not where it's at. So I'm loving the reflective process and thoughts that I'm having right now and just wanted to share. So I hope that this was helpful. Again, share down below. Share this video with someone that you feel, could benefit from these thoughts and this conversation. And I thank you for coming to another day of Christmas. I hope this was therapy for you. It always is for me. And until I see you again, make sure you're being gentle with yourself. Talk to yourself nice, stay safe, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.